Did you give them my details?
Did you give me your details?
Right, that's against the law. It's a breach of my personal data. You should not have done that. You have not. You should not have done that.
Welcome to Noxium, where police power meets public accountability.
This episode is brought to us by Auditor Brett Chamberlain. Be sure to check the link below, subscribe to his channel and give him the credit he deserves. In this episode, Brett delivers another explosive coin audit. After refueling at a Sainsbury's petrol station, he attempts to pay with pure silver Royal Mint coins, but staff refuse, call the police and even mishandle his money. When an officer arrives, she is completely out of her depth, fumbling the law and trampling Brett's rights so badly that he has to contact his lawyer. The incident was so mishandled that even her own inspector later admitted she would require retraining. Before we get into today's video, I want to give a massive shout out to T for joining RTA Extra. In today's world, where our freedoms are constantly challenged and authority continues to push boundaries, it's more important than ever to stand together. By joining RTA Extra, you're not only unlocking exclusive bonus content, you're directly supporting this mission and helping me continue amplifying the public's voice. If you'd like to support as well, hit that join button below. Your support is greatly appreciated.
You've handed over the coins as tender.
Yeah.
Obviously, it is legal tender, you are correct.
Yeah.
But as Sainsbury's, we aren't obliged to take that because we are unable to bank that here. So unfortunately, we will have to ask some other means of payment to purchase that fuel.
What do you think legal tender actually means?
Pardon?
What do you think legal tender means?
I'm not into a debate about that. We're not accepting that as a tender here. It's a private company.
So you accept it as legal tender?
Yeah, but we can't bank that here. We don't have the means to bank it, so we don't accept it.
That's not my problem if you can't bank it, is it?
Well, yeah, but we don't accept it.
Well, you already have.
No, you haven't. You just put it down.
No, I gave it to the lady and she put it in her hand.
So, have you got any other means of payment?
That is my means of payment.
So, have you not got any other means?
But that is my means of payment.
Well, and we can't accept that means.
Brett highlights a crucial point when the cashier actually takes the coins into her hand. The moment that happens, the debt is discharged, payment has been made. While stores can refuse Royal Mint coins if they implement that policy before a transaction, this wasn't that situation. The fuel was already in the car, meaning the goods had been consumed and a debt existed. Once a debt exists, legal tender must be accepted. You cannot physically take lawful payment and then claim it doesn't count simply because it's inconvenient to process. This is precisely where Sainsbury's, and later the responding police officer, went wrong. They conflated what was convenient for them with what the law actually requires.
Got another means of payment, or do we just need to process it as a civil recovery issue?
Well, I've paid.
Well, you haven't accepted it.
You don't need to. Well, you have accepted it.
You haven't.
Well, I haven't got the money, have I? You've got the money.
Well, we can give it back to you.
Well, I don't want it back. Are you a police officer?
Yes.
Right, can you identify yourself, please? What number are you?
1866, Bridgewater Police Station.
Mrs. Bradshaw, Miss Bradshaw.
That's correct. Miss.
Hi, Miss.
Sorry.
Sorry.
So they've asked for another form of payment
Yeah.
because they can't accept this form. Have you got another form of payment on you?
That is my payment.
Right, okay, but that's not tender that they can accept.
Yes, it is.
They're asking for another form
Yes,
of
it
payment.
is. Let me explain something to you. So when you was training to be a police officer at the beginning, yeah, you swore an oath, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember what the first sentence of the oath was? It was to serve the Queen faithfully.
Correct.
Right. Now, those coins are legal tender by royal proclamation of the Queen herself.
Okay.
Right. She's authorised within the legislation for the Royal Mint to create those coins, and when she proclaimed them to be legal tender, she said that they are legal tender for payment throughout the United Kingdom.
When the officer arrives, she simply repeats what Sainsbury's staff told her, acting as if their store policy overrides statute. Brett quickly cut through her nonsense by reminding her of the oath she swore upon becoming a police officer, to serve the Crown faithfully. And that's the crucial point. These coins weren't just pieces of metal. They were declared legal tender by royal proclamation under the Coinage Act 1971, Section 2. It is the Crown, through the Royal Mint, that determines what counts as legal tender in the UK. Brett wasn't citing opinion, he was citing the very authority she had sworn to uphold. By linking her oath to the proclamation, Brett laid bare just how untenable her position truly was.
They've allowed me to take goods, and they've allowed me to take goods and then pay after the event. When the fuel goes into my vehicle, it becomes my fuel, but then it becomes a debt. Okay, now, the whole point of legal tender is that you can use it to pay a debt. As the Queen said, it's for payment throughout the United Kingdom. Okay. So they don't have to accept it, and if they was to give it back to me, it would negate the debt. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's not a police matter, it's a civil dispute. So really, you know, I mean, really, you should be telling them that it's a civil dispute.
I've just spoken to them and said about the document whereby you can come back and pay within 24 hours. They're saying that they don't want to accept the tender that you've given them. Is there an alternative method?
I'm not going to pay in any other way. I've already paid. Okay, and regarding that document, it's called a no means to pay document, isn't it? Right, I'm not filling out a no means to pay document when I have got the means to pay and I've paid. It's almost like an acceptance that I haven't got the means to pay when I have.
What the officer tried to push on Brett here was a no means to pay document. These forms are used by fuel stations when someone genuinely cannot pay, for instance if they forgot their wallet, their card failed, or they literally have nothing on them. The person admits the debt and agrees to return later to settle it. It's strictly for situations where there is no means of payment at the time. The problem here is that Brett did have means to pay. He held legal tender, fully backed by the Royal Mint. That immediately removes this case from the no means to pay category. By attempting to force him to complete the form, both the officer and Sainsbury were effectively trying to rewrite reality, pretending a lawful payment didn't exist simply because they didn't want to accept it.
May I take your name, please?
No. Oh, yes you will, because I'm driving.
Sorry?
Yes you can, because I'm driving. Sorry. There you go. Although technically, parked up on private land. I'll be going soon, as soon as I've finished dealing with it. No, I don't want that. If you give it back, then it goes to debt. Did you see that, officer? Officer?
Yes,
I've paid and she's thrown the money back in.
They've asked for another form of
No, she's thrown the money back in.
Okay.
Do you understand? Can you explain to them that that negates the debt? You can't pay someone and then they just throw the money back at you.
Do paperwork.
Do you want to remind them of that?
Yeah, so that's the details of the transaction, sir, okay?
Ma'am, can you correct me? I paid it though.
Yeah, but it's unacceptable tender.
Officer, did you witness them give me the coins back, didn't you? When I have paid, yeah.
I've witnessed them give you the coins back. I've also witnessed them say that it's unacceptable tender. They're not willing to accept it. Therefore, they've asked for another form of payment. You haven't provided it, so that's hence why they're giving you the form.
Well, I don't want that.
When the officer asks Brett for his name while he's sitting in his car, he is legally obligated to provide it, and here's why. The Road Traffic Act 1988 requires any driver of a motor vehicle on a road or in a public place to give their name and address when asked by a constable in uniform. That duty applies regardless of the context of the stop. In that moment, because Brett was behind the wheel, he had no choice but to comply. But what follows makes this situation even more questionable. Just a minute later, a Sainsbury's worker returns with a no means to pay document already filled out with Brett's details. Remember, Brett never signed or consented to that form, and he had made it abundantly clear he was paying with legal tender. So here's the real kicker. How did they get his name in the first place?
Can you give these coins back to her, or can you keep them as evidence?
I'm not giving the coins back.
Well, you do realise that it negates the debt anyway.
They haven't accepted
Well, I don't want that either. That's nothing to do with me. I would like a receipt though, please.
You've been
I can't give you a receipt. The transaction's still outstanding, I'm afraid.
Do they have to give me a receipt for VAT purposes?
You haven't paid
I have
because
paid.
they haven't accepted the tender.
I have paid. They had it in their hand. They threw it back in the car.
Okay, but they
You
haven't
witnessed they
accepted,
threw it
they
back
haven't
in.
accepted the tender, so therefore there isn't a
So
payment.
it's for, as I said to you earlier, the Queen said
I
that
understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
and you've obviously done your research.
Yeah.
What they're saying is it's not acceptable form of tender. They're not accepting it, therefore the debt hasn't been paid.
But you're an officer of the law, aren't you? You're a sergeant or just PC?
PC. Hence why they've given you this, because they want you to pay in another acceptable form of tender.
So what do you think, if they said that they didn't want to accept a £50 note and threw the £50 notes back in, yeah, and then gave me that, would you think that's reasonable?
Well, you
Or £20
have to offer
notes?
another form of payment.
Brett turns the argument completely on its head with a clear example. If someone hands over a £50 note and the store throws it back, then tries to force a no means to pay form, would anyone see that as fair? The logic is exactly the same here. Once legal tender is offered, the debt is discharged. Refusing it is Brett's failure, it's theirs. Yet the officer still doesn't grasp this. Instead of acknowledging the principle, she falls back on the same empty line that Brett should offer another form of payment. But that isn't law, it's yielding to a store's preference. By siding with convenience over legality, she turned a settled debt into a criminalized dispute, and that's where her entire position collapsed.
Say I had 50s and £20 notes, okay, and I went in there to pay them, and they said, "Oh, sorry, we don't accept those," right? Yeah, but even though this is theoretical, yeah, we don't accept those. And I say, "Well, I've paid, and I've left the money on the counter," and they came and threw them back in the car. Would you still be saying that it's up to me to pay in some other way?
But they just said that's an acceptable form of tender.
Yeah, but it's not down to them as to whether it's acceptable or not. It's down to the state.
They don't deem that acceptable.
It's down to the state. It's not for them to choose.
Well, they've served you with this. They haven't accepted payment.
I don't want that. That's nothing to do with me.
Right, okay, well, you've seen it. She's shown you it.
Yeah.
Okay?
I don't know what it is. I don't even know what it is. What is it? I haven't signed it. What is it? No means to pay form or something like that? How did they get my details? Did you give them my details?
Because you've given me your details.
Right, that's against the law. It's a breach of my personal data. You should not have done that. You have not. You should not have done that.
You haven't paid.
You know that. You should not have done that.
You haven't paid.
As the officer holds up the no means to pay form, Brett immediately notices something outrageous. His name is already filled in. He presses her, "How did you get my details?" Incredibly, she admits she passed them to the store, claiming it was fine because he had already provided them to her. This is a serious breach of GDPR and data protection law. The officer obtained Brett's personal details under the Road Traffic Act, powers strictly limited to road traffic matters. Sharing that information with a private supermarket in what is purely a civil dispute is completely unlawful. Police officers have a duty to safeguard personal data, not hand it over to businesses for convenience. Yet instead of acknowledging this blatant breach, the officer simply repeats the same line: "You haven't paid." This represents a complete failure of duty, twisting police powers to serve a supermarket's interests while trampling Brett's rights and violating GDPR. It's not just unprofessional, it's shocking misconduct.
Given them, I'll be lodging a complaint about this.
Okay,
you know you're going to be in trouble for that, don't you? No.
You're not.
You know that you're going to be in trouble for that, don't you? Because you're not allowed to give them my personal details. Breach of my data. Police giving private corporation my details. They threw the money back in the car. We'll be lodging a complaint with 101, I think, straight away.
In his update, Brett reveals just how the complaint unfolded, and it's jaw-dropping. The police responded by claiming the officer did nothing wrong, effectively endorsing behavior that allowed a private corporation to refuse legal tender, toss it back into a customer's car, and misuse police powers to obtain personal data under the Road Traffic Act. That's not doing nothing wrong, that's blurring the line between public authority and corporate convenience. It shows how a single officer's ignorance can be reinforced by an entire system more interested in defending itself than upholding the law. Brett hits the nail on the head when he points out how this turned into a fraudulent situation. By obtaining his details through the police, Sainsbury could falsely complete a no means to pay form, effectively creating a contract he never agreed to. That's the real scandal. The officer wasn't merely misinformed, she enabled a corporation to exploit police powers to cover its own mistake. In his further update, Brett explains that while his lawyer confirmed he had a solid case, it wasn't worth pursuing in court. But the fallout was still significant. Her own inspector admitted she would need retraining, which says everything. It's a quiet admission of fault hidden behind bureaucratic language. When an officer needs retraining after a single encounter, it's proof that the citizen understood the law better than the police enforcing it. What's truly striking about this encounter is how quickly a simple act of payment became a public lesson in policing gone wrong. Brett wasn't aggressive, evasive, or breaking any law. He was exercising a right every citizen in the UK possesses, the right to settle a debt using official legal tender. Yet what followed showed just how ill-prepared some officers are when faced with a member of the public who actually understands the law. From the start, Sainsbury's staff had no authority to refuse legal tender for an existing debt. Thanks for watching.